Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? YouTube. You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Monday, February 6th, 2023, early in the AM. Got my morning coffee here. Figured we'd knock out a video. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. A lot of stuff to discuss in today's video. We're going to be talking about how the markets closed on Friday. Netflix begins their crackdown on password sharing. They also had an interesting partnership they recently announced with GM to feature GM EVs in its shows and movies. We're going to talk about some of the earnings we saw last week and what earnings we can expect this week, the recent jobs report, layoffs, and a whole lot more. So before we get into all of that, I have a movie suggestion for you guys. Saw this one over the weekend. It's called Above Suspicion. I believe it was on Amazon Prime. It's basically about this FBI agent who moves to a small town in Kentucky to solve bank robberies. He has an informant, a female informant, who's actually the girl from Game of Thrones, who's working with him. They eventually wind up having an affair, and things go kind of sideways. I guess it's based on a true story. Kind of an interesting movie, and she did a great job playing kind of a meth head, which isn't what you're used to seeing her as. So check that one out, Above Suspicion on Amazon Prime. Also, a shout out to the sponsor of today's video. The sponsor of today's video is Refersion. If you guys have e-commerce businesses and you don't have an affiliate program, look into setting up an affiliate program. You can get an army of affiliates working for you. Also, any of you guys who are working with influencers for your business, your product, your service you offer, you definitely want to try to start getting some of your influencers on more of an affiliate model. It doesn't make any sense paying an influencer $1,500 for a single post that may or may not drive any sales, let alone get you any traffic. Get people on an influencer model where their upside potential is bigger because they're paid on what they produce. And also, you're not paying money on an influencer or an affiliate who is not actually producing. Refersion is an affiliate marketing platform. It connects to your e-commerce store and helps manage every aspect of your program in one place. I actually manage affiliate programs for 5 or 6 different businesses. I also have a number of clients who have me help them set up affiliate programs and then recruit some affiliates and get the programs running early on. I use Refersion for all of my affiliate programs and all the affiliate programs that I manage. So check it out, link in the description box below. I had a quick commentary on Friday's video. So on Friday, I told you guys, I said the videos the views on my videos are starting to decline, even though I'm getting more comments and more upvotes than ever. And, YouTube has gone downhill over the years. There was a time when I feel like the reason people go to YouTube is for an experience different than mainstream television, different than Netflix, different than Amazon Prime or Hulu. And back in the day, YouTube was a lot of interesting content, right? It was if you searched a news story or a topic, you would get people talking about it and people's opinions about it. You wouldn't get the same 57 videos from the same 57 videos from various NBC affiliates across the country playing the same B-roll footage and the same minute-and-a-half long videos. Now, you actually have to really seek out something besides mainstream media, type content on YouTube. And so I was kind of asking you guys, it's hard to do news, it's hard to do controversial stories, and obviously my thumbnails and a lot of the things I discuss on here aren't super YouTube friendly or necessarily something that YouTube wants to promote. So, the idea being, if you guys give an upvote, if you guys drop a comment, it kind of spurs the video in the YouTube algorithm and gets it out to more people. And what I thought was really weird on Friday, towards the end of the day, the video had 118 views. It had 25 thumbs up, 27 comments. I mean, it was literally almost a 25% ratio of upvotes and comments, and the video still really went nowhere view-wise. So obviously there's a certain type of content YouTube wants to promote. We really can't do anything about that. Let's talk about Netflix and the Netflix Password Crackdown. That is beginning, I guess, basically, I was meaning to kind of dig into this a little bit more and talk a little bit more about this today, but from my understanding, you will have to log into your home network every 30 days or you'll be locked out of your account. Occasionally, if you log in from other IPs, you'll be required to enter a password, and that will bring you into the account from that different IP for a week-long period. So what does this look like in practice? My parents use my Netflix, my grandparents use my Netflix, and my sister uses my Netflix. So I'm guessing sometime in the next couple weeks here, maybe even this week, I'm going to get a text message from them saying, hey, Netflix is asking me for a 4-digit code. Did you get a text message? And I'll have to give them the code, and that will get them in for 7 days. A lot of people on Reddit were complaining about this. Oh, I'm going to cancel Netflix. And I took most of this as being reading Netflix Rage or Reddit Rage. A couple people joked that, like, how many of you people are actually paying for Netflix? I'm guessing most of you are like piggybacking off your parents' accounts. And a lot of people were like, well, I have 3 homes, and what if I want to watch Netflix from my 3 homes? I'm guessing the percentage of people who own 3 homes or, are living in a foreign country or something like that, I'm guessing that's a relatively small number of people compared to the 100 million people that Netflix estimates are piggybacking off Netflix accounts and not paying for Netflix service. Again, I'm guessing Netflix has run the numbers, and they know in the long run this is going to wind up making them more money. A lot of people are saying, oh, Netflix's stock is going to tank. I think Netflix is going to do fantastic with this recent move, even though some of us may or may not like it. Netflix also recently partnered with General Motors to feature EVs in its shows and movies. And here's kind of a lesson to you. All of the media you consume, even if it seems like entertainment, it is meant and designed to manipulate you, your views, your opinions, what you liked. The content you watch, the movies you watch, the shows you watch, they are loaded with marketing messages and government propaganda. So here's kind of this movement to let's make EVs cool by making a cool character in some Netflix show drive an EV truck or an EV car or whatever it is. And as we're seeing military recruitment struggling, I think every year they're falling short 15,000, 30,000 in recruiting people for the military. They're now taking people without high school educations. You can have tattoos. You can have used marijuana. You can have a criminal record. Too many young Americans are too fat to get into the military. I think we're going to see a push in a lot of the media we consume to make the military seem cool and make young people want to join the media, especially as we're ramping up to what seems like go to war with Russia. And also, I think a Navy commander, a Navy general the other day said by 2025 we will have gone to war with Ukraine. We'll talk about, I'm sure a lot of you guys with kind of that little line of talk are thinking about the recent Chinese weather balloon, kind of a crazy story that we started hearing about on Friday. We'll talk about that a little bit more in today's video. We are in the midst of earnings seasons. Last week, outside of the oil industry, most companies saw kind of lackluster earnings. On Monday, today, 44 companies will report earnings. 2 of the big ones are Tyson and Lowe's. Tuesday, again, a bunch more earnings being reported, but we got BP, Hertz, DuPont, Spirit Air, and Nintendo. Wednesday, a whole lot of more earnings being reported, but some of the bigger ones, Uber, CVS, and Yum Brands. Thursday, some of the big ones we're watching out for, Pepsi, Hilton, Toyota, Philip Morris, and Kellogg. And Friday, we got Mr. Cooper, a mortgage company, and Honda, among others. We recently had the jobs report come out, over 500,000 jobs added. I think it was over 525,000 jobs. There's 2 different jobs reports that they combined to kind of deliver the jobs report. One showed 80,000 new jobs added. The other one showed 500,000 new jobs added. Which one do you think is actually right? Also, keep in mind, Jerome Powell had this data before he did the 25 basis point hike. We know that the most important thing to the Fed, according to what the Fed has said and Jerome Powell has said, they're more concerned about a rise in wages and increasing job numbers than they are about than they actually are concerned about inflation. And if this jobs report is to be believed, which I don't think anybody actually believes that it was revised up over 200,000, how are they off that much? But if this is to be believed, why would Jerome Powell not go with a 50 or even 75 basis point hike if he thought that 525,000 jobs were created? He clearly doesn't believe this number. We talked about how towards the end of 2022, we lost 1,000 full-time jobs and picked up 679,000 part-time jobs. I think it was December or January. We had added 106,000 jobs, 95,000 of those jobs, a vast majority, were, again, low-paying part-time jobs. We're seeing layoffs in high-paying jobs, tech jobs. In fairness, tech only makes up about 3% of all jobs, but nonetheless, we're seeing a lot of layoffs in high-paying jobs. I talked in a video a couple weeks ago. A friend of mine works for a trucking or freight company, large trucking or freight company. They laid off almost all of the management. So we're seeing good paying jobs go away, but remember we joked the other day, Chipotle is hiring 15,000 people for burrito season. We're hemorrhaging high paying jobs, career jobs, skilled jobs, and we're picking up more and more barista jobs, bartender jobs, restaurant jobs, and retail jobs. I don't think I have this in my notes, so let me talk a little bit about this before I forget about it. Walmart is closing stores. A lot of these stores are being closed due to theft and shoplifting. It's suspected that a lot of this shoplifting is internal, where they're stealing hundreds or even thousands of units of merchandise. And a few weeks back, we had talked about how Amazon is going to start requiring more information from sellers. I think they want to try to start cracking down on some of these organized theft rings. Another thing going on in Walmarts, people are setting Walmarts on fire. Somebody started a fire in like the paper towel aisle the other day. Some of these are teenagers just being goofy, setting fires. Some of these fires are actually being set as a distraction so that people can shoplift. And a lot of these stores, Walmart is deciding not to open back up. We've talked about this in a lot of recent videos, how a lot of these conveniences, buy online, pick up in store, curbside pickup, self-checkout systems, this is being marketed as if it's a convenience or a service to you. In reality, it allows these companies to run much more streamlined. And in Friday's video, we talked about, I think it's called Reach or Stretchy or something like that. There's a new robot that can unload trucks, that can work in warehouses. Imagine if, think about how many employees it takes to run a Walmart, right? You got like the Subway in there, you got the Dunkin' Donuts in the Walmart. You need people to sweep the floors and kind of do maintenance and clean. You need people to stock shelves. You need people as cashiers. You need people to monitor the self-checkouts to make sure people aren't stealing. You need all these things. Well, imagine if Walmart makes more of a shift to e-commerce, shuts down stores, makes more people order online. You can have Stretchy the robot, pulling things out of warehouses and delivering them to stores. You need much fewer people just to stock shelves. You don't need anybody to help customers. You don't need anybody to ring out customers. People place their orders online. One employee runs the goods out to the customer's car. And I think we're going to see this shift, especially in 2022. We saw traffic in brick and mortar stores was down. I told you guys I was in a Walmart on Black Friday. I had to pop in to get a pair of headphones because I was heading to the gym and forgot my headphones. And I mean, it was like a regular Wednesday morning in Walmart. Nobody was in there. So why are companies going to continue dumping money into brick and mortar locations if they can just move everything to e-commerce? Let's talk about layoffs. Let's see. Despite all the layoff stories, layoffs are actually at a 2-decade low. So far this year in tech, we've had 292 companies lay employees off. The total number of tech employees laid off has been 88,138. We recently learned that Dell is laying off over 6,600 employees as PC sales slide. PC sales slid 37% in the fourth quarter of 2022. Let's see, will knock employee, sorry, I guess sometimes I have trouble reading my notes here. Will knock employee count to, okay, so this recent layoff at Dell will knock the employee count down to fewer employees than during their peak in January of 2020. A couple other tech layoffs. FarEye laid off 90, Protocol Labs laid off 89, and Finder laid off 15% of the company. I thought this was kind of an interesting story. So there was a federal law prohibiting marijuana users from owning firearms. Big law that was recently ruled to be unconstitutional. The judge said the mere status of being a marijuana user doesn't give the government the power to strip your rights. There was a recent case, the Bruin case, which established a test that judges across the country must now apply when evaluating gun control laws, such as they must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm ownership. And isn't it weird how somebody can consume alcohol and own firearms? Obviously, we don't want people drinking alcohol and handling their firearms, but you can consume alcohol and own firearms. It should be the same for marijuana, and now it is. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a popular YouTube channel back in like 2009 to maybe 2012 called FPS Russia. The guy, he initially started off as being a Call of Duty streamer. He then started making some gun videos talking about like how do guns in real life compare to Call of Duty. In Call of Duty, this gun can shoot through a car. Can it really happen in real life? And he would kind of replicate these little experiments. One of his partners wound up being murdered. He had like one of the highest levels of federal firearms licenses you can have, which meant that the ATF could come search his home at any time. They searched his home, seized his $400,000 gun collection, and he eventually got it back, but then they seized it again. I guess they found a little bit of hash in his home. They charged him for the hash, and then because he had shared the hash with his girlfriend, they charged him with distributing drugs, and his channel pretty much died after that. Kind of an interesting story, but we'll see if he is now able to get his guns back. So another article, what recession? Starbucks had its 8 highest sales days in history last quarter. So many people are buying Starbucks, but have no money. They don't have $400 for an emergency, but they do have money for Starbucks. Also, the average check price at Starbucks increased 9%. Obviously, that's not due to Starbucks doing a better job. That's due to inflation. We're being told inflation is at 7 to 9%. I think inflation on coffee is more like 18%. So actually, Starbucks sales are probably down, but still, compared to how a lot of companies are doing, Starbucks is doing well. And we recently talked about how Starbucks has added the point-of-sale tipping to their credit card machines, which is annoying a lot of people. We're told the economy is doing well, the consumer is strong. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. There's a video of Austin, Texas, 250 people dumpster diving because somebody posted on Facebook that the supermarket had dumped a lot of food. Turned out all of this food was rotten because the power had gone out down there. But you had 250 people dumpster diving for free food down in Austin, Texas. The police had to come to disperse people. So another interesting article over the weekend, 80% of housing appreciation since the 90s was due to low rates. So it's not due to NIMBY housing policies. It's not due to not enough homes being built. Obviously, these are contributing factors. But the reason houses appreciated so much is because of the low interest rates. If you look at right now, the same payment a year ago probably would have gotten you a $500,000, $550,000 house. That same payment today will get you like a $350,000 house. Obviously, when interest rates are low, people can afford more expensive homes. Same thing holds true for property taxes here in my home state of Illinois. You're never going to see home prices go as high as some other places because we have very, very high property taxes. A buddy of mine pays $17,000 a year in property taxes. What is that, like $1,400 a month? So to some extent, that's going to artificially keep housing prices low because more of your payment is having to go to that. Same thing holds true for mortgage rates. Let's see, I saw an interesting article. I think this one came from The Hedge, and I hadn't really read all this, but I kind of got some notes here. Housing market could begin to surge in 2023, and here's the reasons they give. Number one, the average age of first-time home buyers is 33 to 36, and we're entering a period over the next 2 years of over 1 million people in this bracket being added to the 30 to 39 demographic. Not everyone lives alone. Not everyone lives with each other. Let's be conservative and say this will require 700,000 additional single-family units on the housing market. So I guess a lot of people are aging into the age where they would normally buy a home. Number two, we currently have less than 500,000 housing units out there. In 2015, we had 1.2 million. If the trend persists upward from 2015, we should be around 1.5 million in housing units. This means we're already short by about 1 million on top of the extra 700,000 people we will need in the next 2 years as 1 million more people enter the home buying demographic. There's a technology layer to all of that. The old farts and the government don't factor in, in the 80s, they could get away with raising rates because STR tech, like Airbnb and VRBO, didn't exist. So to buy another home, you had to sell yours. Same with LTR. It was much harder without cell phones and Venmo to manage a long-term rental from a few states away. Now people don't have to sell to buy something new. They can own a house upstate and own that brownstone in the city. It's been a game changer. And I guess, we are seeing more of that. This is years ago, but when I bought my first home in my early 20s, moved a couple buddies in with me, did the house hacking thing. When it was time for me to buy another home, I didn't sell the first home. I kept the first home, kept it as a rental, and then wound up buying another home. And you're seeing more and more young people doing this. Obviously, there's a lot of YouTube channels that encourage people to get started in real estate, make money in real estate. So a lot of people are having multiple homes. And then for anti-development, we've seen so much grassroots anti-development, and it's strange because it seems to come from the liberal side. Well, guess what, liberals? You're only making the wealth gap larger and making home ownership more exclusive. It might come from a good place of conservation, but you're actually making it harder for others to own homes. And I saw a recent article, Steph Curry, who has talked a lot, he and his wife talk a lot about equality and equity, yet their mansion in, I'm not a basketball fan, so I forget where he even plays. I assume it's California. They were wanting to build some low-income housing near his mansion, and he and his wife were sending in letters and lobbying against this happening. So it's kind of funny how the same people who want low-income housing and want equity and act like they're champions of the poor, when it comes to the poor actually living near them, they don't want that affordable housing built. Just thought that was kind of an interesting side story. Ford sold almost all of their stake in Rivian last year. Another article from Zero Hedge, fake meat fail, sales collapse at Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods as 20% of staff laid off. And we talked about this, I think, Friday when we announced layoffs. After years of hype, the tide is turning against fake meat. I question, was fake meat ever popular, or was it all just media hype? People tried it. They thought it was interesting. People went out and got the Impossible Whopper. But outside of that, how many people actually became regular consumers of fake meat? Sales to supermarkets I forgot the food we're talking about. Beyond Meat. Sales to supermarkets fell 15%. Sales to restaurants fell 9%. And their stock is down 67% on the year. We got some more wokeness with the Sims video game. They've recently added the ability to customize your character with chest binders. And you could even add top surgery scars, like you're a woman to man transition person who had your breast cut out. So that's a recent addition to The Sims. I'm sure something a lot of people were waiting for, right? Walmart stores are closing, so we talked about that, the fires. Over the weekend, there was an internet outage in Italy. The New York Times reported, we got two different stories here. There was an internet outage in Italy. It was initially being reported that the entire country's internet went out. I think in reality, it was about 20% of the country. Their largest provider was having problems. And we've talked about this in a lot of recent videos. Isn't it weird how, like, the FAA systems go down? 15,000 Southwest flights canceled. A couple weeks prior to that, 12,000 Spirit Air flights canceled. We have attacks on the power grids. The power grid's going down in Texas. It seems like we are losing the ability to run complex systems. And I talked about how, in third world countries, it's kind of normal that, the power goes out. In Puerto Rico, the power goes out regularly. It's just a fact of life. In some countries, maybe the train shows up, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the bus shows up, maybe it doesn't. In the U.S., things have never been like that, but it's starting to get like that. Let's talk about the Chinese weather balloon story. Maybe some of you guys are sick of hearing about this. Maybe some of you guys have never even heard about it. So I think it was sometime on Friday, it was reported that there was a Chinese weather balloon floating around the U.S. It then came out that it was a spy balloon. We saw a lot of weird mixed reports. Some reports said that it was carrying a payload, which I would assume means like a weapon or some type of weapon system. Other things said it was a weather balloon. At first, it was just floating around aimlessly. Then we learned that it had propellers and could be guided. They were still saying that it was just a weather balloon, even though this weather balloon just happened to be visiting all of our nuclear facilities, all of our military bases, and I believe the 3 sites in the U.S. where we can launch intercontinental ballistic missiles. Then eventually, so there was a video circulating on Twitter of this weather balloon allegedly being shot down. Someone's got a video of it. One thing that's kind of crazy, with all this AI, with these, you can make AI porn, you can make AI voices. I saw a video of Biden saying some really nasty things about trans people the other day. It sounds very, very realistic. There's a famous story that they talked about when I was in mass media classes in college about there was a radio broadcast. It was just a fictional broadcast. It was a story, but it talked about aliens invading, and people went crazy and started jumping off of roofs. And with AI being able to make things look so realistic, it's kind of crazy that you could make a video that shows a nuclear attack going on, an alien attack going on, and how are people going to know whether it's real or fake? Another thing that was funny about this video of allegedly the weather balloon being shot down over Montana, which apparently they later said it wasn't shot down by Montana. It was shot down Saturday or Sunday afternoon off the coast of Myrtle Beach after it had finished spying on the entire country. But it's always funny to me whenever somebody posts kind of a viral video or a video of a big news story on Twitter, the journalists come out in force. You'll see hundreds of replies to a post like, "Hey, Jim, glad you caught that on video. I'm Nancy with NBC affiliate KFY. Could I use your video with credit?" And then you'll literally see hundreds of these, and it almost becomes comical. And sometimes it's kind of disgusting. Sometimes it'll be a really sad story, like somebody had a family member killed, and it's like, "So sorry for your loss. Could we use your video for blah, blah, blah channel?" But then it was funny because other people started coming out of the woodwork and just kind of making fun of the journalists, and people were like, I don't know if the guy's name was Moon or something like that. Like, "Hey, Moon, Jim here from Nevada. Do I have your permission to show this video to my Uncle Tony?" People were kind of poking fun at that. Let me know if any of you guys have heard any more about what this video of allegedly a balloon being shot down over Montana actually was, or if they've acknowledged that that was a balloon. There were some stories circulating that there were actually 2 or 3 balloons floating around. I know one was over Central America. Overall, just a very, very weird story. After this weekend of this news, now we're starting to hear that, a few months ago, a Chinese spy balloon crashed in Hawaii. And then now the Pentagon's coming out and saying that, oh, well, there were weather balloons all over the place when Trump was in power as well. So, yeah, just kind of a weird story there. Okay, and then also we have a story coming out. This is from back in 2019, but the Pentagon was actually launching these surveillance balloons over the Midwest. They said that they could cheaply and easily track boats and cars. They were supposedly doing it to maybe stop drug trafficking. Critics of this say we shouldn't have entire American cities and states subject to surveillance so that maybe you can catch a drug smuggler. Barron's article, the baby boomer retirement crisis is here. Boomers had cheap goods, high-paying careers without education and good markets. And if even baby boomers can't retire after that, what hope do the rest of us have? Let's see, what's with the movement to PTI generate? Okay, and just here's another kind of interesting thought. What is with this kind of movement in the media to pin or pit generations against each other? Millennials dump on Gen Z. Everybody dumps on millennials, right? Millennials are eating too much avocado toast and buying too many lattes. Then there was the OK Boomer thing. Like, what's with this movement of pinning generations against each other? I imagine it has the same thing to do with kind of class warfare, right? We talked about this a lot back in 2010, 2011. We had Occupy Wall Street. Think about how long that Occupy Wall Street movement was in the news. That was like the main news story for weeks, if not months. And then think about how long a story stays in the news today, right? Today, it could be the biggest story of the century, and it's in the news for one day before a bigger story comes and takes it away. The 24-hour news cycle has really kind of made things weird. But rather than having people fight about wealth inequality, we'd much rather have people fight about trans people playing sports or black versus white or Aunt Jemima on a bottle of syrup. So I think that, pitting generations against each other is just kind of another way to create divides and keep the discussion from being the rich versus the poor, the 1% versus everybody else. Tesla price cuts are working. Tesla vehicle sales are up 18%. In recent months, and they shipped over 66,000 vehicles in China recently. I think we talked about this last week. ChatGPT had announced that they were going to be offering a $20 service. Well, apparently ChatGPT now has that $20 service available. So if you ever try to go on ChatGPT and find that too many people are using it and you have to come back, I guess you can pay $20 a month to get kind of first access to ChatGPT. ChatGPT has also rolled out a new AI tool that's meant to be able to allow you to tell if content is written by ChatGPT. A lot of people question whether Google can tell if content was AI written and how well that content will rank. Well, we've recently learned that a lot of popular blogs like The Card Guy, creditcards.com, and other kind of financial websites that make a lot of money off affiliate commissions are writing a lot of their content with AI. Sam Bankman-Fried is asking for donations he made to politicians back. There was a crazy video over the weekend at a mall in Quebec. A stolen Audi drove through the mall. They were comparing it to Blues Brothers. And I don't want to get too deeply into this, but there was an interesting clip on Joe Rogan the other day. He had some journalists on. They were talking about this whole Ukraine story. I believe the title of the video is "You Are Being Gaslit About Ukraine." So one thing you got to understand, and Stoic Finance also did a really good video about this. If I can remember, I'll put these links in the description box below. But BlackRock is profiting off the war. They own a big chunk of Raytheon and a lot of other defense companies. The more weapons that are given to Ukraine, the more bombs that are shot over in Ukraine, the more that this goes on, the more they make off weapon sales. And then once Ukraine is destroyed and all this is done, BlackRock has a deal to do the rebuilding as well. So BlackRock is just making money hands over fist here. And one thing that you'll notice is Ukraine is being given enough weapons and enough assistance to keep the war going, but not enough to actually win. Not that they ever actually had a chance of winning in the first place. And on Joe Rogan, they were talking about how odd it is that you can't question the war. Remember during the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq, you had a strong anti-war movement and people questioning the war. Today, anybody who even questions the war or talks about maybe we should have peace talks, all of a sudden you are a Putin puppet and a Russian sympathizer. And I thought this stat was interesting. We have given more money to Ukraine. I think at this point we've given over $100 billion. We have given more money to Ukraine in one single year than we did during the entire Vietnam War, and more money than we gave to Afghanistan over the course of a 20-plus year war in Afghanistan. And this war doesn't even involve us. If you guys remember at the beginning, we were just going to give Ukraine defense weapons. weapons. And, you know, tanks were off the table, you know, jets were off the table. Now we're giving them tanks, and there's talks of us giving them jets as well. So this whole thing is just kind of crazy. And I think that is kind of all the news for today. So again, guys, today is Monday, February 6th. That's kind of the news from late Friday and over the weekend. Be sure to visit our sponsor, Refersion.com, link in the description box below. And do me a favor, help me out. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Guys, later. Peace.